Okay, welcome to Gold's Garage again. So as you can see, we're back at Daryl Waters' dyno service in Springfield, Ontario, and Daryl is the dyno owner and operator, and he's also the horsepower engineer. Daryl uses all the data off his computer and helps us find how to squeeze out that last horsepower. So we're going to do a couple things here today. I have with me Mike Kimball, who's holding the camera, was the previous owner of this, and the new owner beside him, Mike Parezanovic. I apologize, Mike. I just met him a few minutes ago. And Mike's going to be taking this engine home with him today when we're done. So what we're going to do today, this is a, maybe describe the engine first of all. This is a 400 Pontiac GTO engine out of a 1970 GTO. And I made previous videos of this engine when I first received it. Mike Kimball brought it to me, and it was hanging on a hook, and it had been up and running for a long time. So I was back in, I think, September or so, and I finally got it finished, restored. So we're here today to dyno it and see how much performance we can get out of it. And so let me describe it. It's a 400, as I said. It's basically a stock build. It has the original and correct Quadrajet Carburetor, steel cast iron intake manifold, the stock heads. The two differences from the original motor, it's about 9 or 9.1 to 1 compression ratio, and the original GTO would have been 10 to 1 compression ratio. Good thing about that is that Mike can run it on pump gas, or regular gas actually. The other difference is we use the Summit 2801 camshaft, and that camshaft I think is 444, 466, and 212, 218 duration. I'm pretty sure the numbers are on it. Summit 2801 anyway is the correct number if somebody wants to check that out. So we've made a few pulls already, and the other thing we're going to do today is we're going to do a little fuel test. So let me give you the background on that. If you've watched my videos before, you know my go-to fuel is Shell 91, and the reason I like it, based on some previous dyno tests I've done back in my race cars, and the fact that Shell 91 at least claims that there's no ethanol in it. And yesterday when I bought the fuel for this test, I actually took a photograph of the sticker on the Shell gas pump saying that it does not contain ethanol. And here's the point: if you need high octane, if you have 10 to 1 compression or more on a street motor, you need all the octane you can get, and therefore 94 octane, Sunoco 94 or other 94 octane is what you want. If you don't need it, then my belief is so far that Shell 91 will give us better performance. And the reason is this: Shell 91 has no octane, so there's a car engine basically converts chemical energy, which is the fuel, into horsepower, heat, and noise. That's the three things it does. And so the more energy that's in your fuel, the more horsepower you should get out of it. So a gallon of pure fuel is 116,000 BTUs, and the BTU is just a British thermal unit. It's just a measure of energy. The metric unit of energy is calories, and it's not much different than the calories you get when you eat an ice cream cone. It's energy. So back to the fuel. With 116,000 BTUs in pure fuel, ethanol has 76,000 BTUs in a gallon. Ethanol is basically alcohol. So it helps to increase the octane rating, and that's why it's used, but it actually dilutes the energy in the fuel. So if you do the calculation of 90% fuel and 10% ethanol, it comes out to 112,000 BTUs in a gallon compared to 116,000. So you're losing about 4%. So theoretically, unless you need that high octane, the 91 fuel should actually work better. But we're going to find out, because we're going to make some more runs on this engine. We have 91 fuel in it right now, in the system right now. And then we're going to make convert the fuel system over and put 94 in it, purge that through the system and make some more tests and see how much power we make on the 94 fuel. So Before that, we got one more adjustment to do on the timing on this with this carburetor and this fuel system. So we're going to do that, and we're going to make one pull. So we'll keep running. Want to introduce your friend Mike with the camera? You got him right there. No, there's the new owner. Okay.
Hi,
I own it until it comes off the dyno. After that, he just told me he's going to put nitrous on it. So the warranty is over.
Hey, please don't break it.
Make a timing change. We made 4 or 5 runs already. We run the timing from about 38 back down to about 35. We're going to take one step more down and find out where it makes the most power. So we're going to make one quick adjustment here. And you have to remember, the Pontiac distributor turns backwards. So when you adjust the timing, it works the other way. So retarding it goes this way. I can find the adjustment. Doesn't take very much. We'll check it. Okay, we just backed the timing off a little bit to about 33 degrees, and we've been up right up to about 38 to 33, and we're going to see what this tool does. Okay, we're back with the fuel test, and so I got to eat a little crow here because I came into this test thinking that I was going to do better with Shell 91. I've been telling people this forever, that Shell 91 makes more power, and I have actually had done some dyno tests in the past that told me that, but this one doesn't. So this 350 Pontiac, or 400 cubic inch Pontiac, I've already described the engine. So just to recover or catch up here, we made a series of runs with Shell 91. We optimized the power, the timing, and everything else that we could do. And the best run that we got out of that was 428 foot-pounds of torque and 349 horsepower and change. A little bit more than that, if you round it off, it's 350. And then we changed the fuel system, and we put Sunoco 94 octane fuel in it. And once again, I expected that with the 9-to-1 compression engine, that the 91 fuel would be better, but I got surprised. So with 94 octane fuel, we made 429.6 foot-pounds of torque and 354 horsepower. So roughly 4 more horsepower, 4 to 5 more horsepower, I guess, and just 1 or 2 foot-pounds of torque by going to the higher octane Ultra 94 fuel. So that concludes our testing today for the 350 Pontiac. The good news is it survived probably 12 or more pulls on the dyno. It sounds great, it runs great, and Mike's all smiles. He's going to put it into 69 Firebird, right? Correct? Okay. So that concludes that number, and we're going to continue on later on with some interviews from the owners of this. What's that?
We didn't do it then.
Okay, yeah, let's make one more pull for demonstration with the Ultra 94 in it. See what we get this time.
It's like 350 That's our best torque actually so far, 441.
Really nice.
More torque than we had before.
Making more power.
And the horsepower is about the same, right?
Yeah, that was
We made 354 best.
yeah, 353 that run.
353 that run.
That's it for the fuel test. Ultra 94, guys. I guess if you want to get that squeeze that last couple horsepower out of your engine, that's what to use. So, thanks for watching Gold's Garage. We'll follow up with some interviews in a minute. Okay, we're still here at Daryl Waters' dyno service in Springfield, Ontario, and we've already documented, just to cover that off again, the contest between Shell 94 and Shell 91 and 94 octane fuel, Sunoco 94 octane fuel. And just to sum that up, my prediction was wrong. The Shell 91 didn't do as good. It made 350 horsepower and change, and the 94 made 354 horsepower. So once again, this is a stock, pretty much a stock 350 or 400 cubic inch engine out of a 1970 GTO, and it's been completely restored and rebuilt. And we just come off the dyno, and so Mike Kimball is the original owner of it, and the new owner, Mike. Say your name, Mike.
Parezanovic.
There you go. Thank you very much. We just met a little while ago, and I'm not good with names in the short term. So let's give Mike Kimball a few comments about what he wants to say about this engine, and he's got another one coming up. You might want to talk about that too. So go ahead, Mike.
So this is a base 350 horsepower 400 for 1970 GTO. It's a YS block, 13 heads. We used cast iron stock intake, and we had nice numbers on it: 354 horsepower, 441 foot-pounds of torque, which is just off the original 350 horsepower and 445 foot-pounds of torque. This will be a really nice engine for Mike to put it in his car. I had two of them, and a long story short, we built this one first, which was good. It ended up being a test run for the one that's going to go on my 1970 GTO. And Mike had been looking long and hard for a 400 Pontiac to put in his car, and I'll let him talk about that, what he plans to do with it. But it's going to be a really nice street engine for a 4-speed car.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, I bought a 1969 Firebird. The car originally had a 400 engine and a ram air engine. And I looked high and low. I bought this car and I looked high and low. They had the 350 engine in it. Couldn't find the 400. I mean, California, Florida, Kentucky, Canada, everything, Calgary, looking and looking and looking. And anyway, I went into town, and a friend of mine who has a gas station, my son went to change his oil, and we started talking, Mike, what are you up to? I told him, and he said, Mike, he said, Mike Kimball just called me up. He's got an engine for my jaw. I said, what? And so anyway, scurried as fast as I could, get to my phone, called Mike up to set this thing up. I want to make the car period correct. It's just, I've always been a big Pontiac fan, and I want to make the car period correct. It's got a beautiful 350 engine right now, the Firebird, but you know, 68, 69, 70, these are the period correct engines for this car. And just to bring it back to where it was, and I can enjoy it, and everybody else around me, my friends and family, to enjoy it. And it's just, it's a work of art. It's a work of art. And Al, thank you very much for meeting you and doing the dyno. And I got the graphs, the sheets, and everything else was done with it. And I proved that the farmer's gas is the best. And Mike also, he just lives down the road from me, and he had the engine, and we work well together. And we've made friendships, and I guess that's what it's all about.
Perfect.
You know, at the end of the day, here we're, you know, and Daryl also, he has the shop here, has the dyno equipment to his shop. And it was a great afternoon, and great, you know, finally getting all this together. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Just a bunch of good old car guys getting together. And young car guys, too, I guess. So, anyways.
And stay tuned. We're going to work on improving.
Mike should be one of my children. My youngest child is older than Mike, so.
Mine, too. I got kids his age.
There you go.
How come he's got all the parts?
I don't know.
He got all the parts.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching Gold's Garage.